Hey friends, Carrie here, and thanks for tuning in for another vlog. Today I have something really cool and special for you. I am going to be sitting down and chatting a little bit with my cousin Ryne Norman. And Ryne is a musician, somebody that I've looked up to for a long time because he is really putting himself out there and just always putting out new cool sounds, and I always totally dig his music. So when he came to me and asked if I would be willing to share a clip of his new song on the vlog with you guys, I said yes, of course. And I talked him into doing a little interview with you guys too. So you can kind of get to hear about him and what he's doing. And then we will jump into the song. So thank you, Ryne, for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Carrie.
I've obviously known you like your whole life, but I wanted
Pretty
to
much. Yeah.
talk a little bit about what got you into music and why you are so interested in playing the guitar and singing and kind of how that started for you.
Yeah, I think for me, like getting started, like I'm growing up, like my dad played music a lot, as you know, and just kind of being around it a lot when I was a kid, there'd be a lot of people like bringing out guitars and singing songs, and it just was always something that like I enjoyed. I enjoy listening to music, and so when I think I was 11 or 12, and I had asked my dad, I said, "Hey, can you show me some chords on the guitar?" And I was just so intrigued by that because it was just something that you could physically do, and it did something. It changed your environment a little bit, you know, and it brought. Not it wasn't about the attention factor. It was just the fact of like I could create something out of nothing, you know, and that was really intriguing to me. And so my dad showed me a few chords, and I really was just had the bug for it. And so ever since I can remember, like at that age of 11 or 12, I mean, I was just playing guitar for hours upon hours in my room and trying to write melodies that I had in my head or songs that I had in my head. And it just kind of, as I got older and matured, it just kind of evolved from there into kind of this lifelong passion that I've decided to kind of go after. So that's kind of, I guess, where I got my start and kind of what drove me to want to play the guitar. It was probably just from seeing my dad do it. You know, dads are cool sometimes. So that's
For sure. And yeah, as long as I've known you, it feels like you've been playing guitar. So I've
yeah.
definitely seen you evolve and grow a lot over the years. So can you tell me a little bit about what some of your fondest musical memories are? Like, what are some of the big things that so far in your musical career have really stood out to you as like, this is awesome?
Yeah, so I think for me, a big part of it is like I'm always kind of chasing after the muse in a way, and I think any musician really has to do that, especially any creative person, really, not just a musician. And for me, I just remember, I think it was like a City and Colors show. It was a great artist. If any of you guys don't know who that is, he's phenomenal, like acoustic singer-songwriter. He's really great. And I remember, I think I was in college, and I remember just like being in this room and I just seeing so many people sing back these lyrics and these literally like what this guy wrote from his heart back to him, and just that community of being able to be a part of something that's so bigger than yourself was just so like I just long for that so much. And so like when I dive into my own musical things, like I think I'm constantly chasing that kind of environment of like wanting to create that for other people, wanting to be inspiring to those around me and wanting to be inspiring to people who want to play music or anything for that matter. And I think that for me, that moment was when I was at that concert and I realized how powerful that was. And I just, like I said, I caught the bug, and I just couldn't stop thinking about what it would be like if I could kind of tap into that energy a little bit.
That's rad. And it actually kind of reminds me of a story that you sort of helped inspire, but there was one show that I saw you play at the Marquee Theater, and you had a girl open for you, and it was just her up on the stage. And when I saw her playing guitar, I said, I can do that. And the next day I went home and started learning how to play guitar.
I think a lot of, in like my mantra, I guess, the thing I want to stand by a lot and in my own music that I create and just kind of the life that I want to lead is I really want to be someone that knows that there's bigger things in themselves. Like I know that there's a lot of people better than me, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing exactly what I'm doing well. And I think the most important thing that I want to instill in others is to inspire people. Like I don't want to be another distraction that's like, oh, I'm gonna put this song on to like forget about how crappy my life is, which is fine. And like music is great for those things. Music is great for distractions, but I feel like I want to tap into something so much bigger, and like I want to be able to inspire people to go out and create. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that that concert was kind of cool for you to like feel that, hey, dude, I could totally do that, and you can, and you're killing it. You know what I mean? So
Thanks.
that's
Awesome.
really awesome.
And
Yeah.
how has that been? I know that you moved to Nashville a few years ago. So, how has Nashville both influenced your music and maybe given you a little bit more sense of community around music in that way?
Whew. In so many ways. One to start. I mean, when I first moved here, it was a little intimidating because everybody was doing it, and it was so oversaturated. And you can really easily get kind of lost in that. Well, everybody's doing it, so I might as well stop. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people can kind of fall into that rut a little bit. You know, for me, I was, again, because I longed for like the inspiration bug, you know, and just kind of constantly going after the muse. Like, I really wanted to surround myself with people who were better than me, you know, and people who were farther along in their career than me. And so I think what I've learned most about Nashville is that it doesn't really matter where you're at, as long as you're saying something important, you know, as long as you're willing to be everything who you are and give it 110%, like that's kind of what gets noticed more than people who are just trying to be the next Taylor Swift or trying to be the next so-and-so. Like, people who are trying to be themselves, I think, go a lot further.
And that's something that I really struggle with too. And specifically, like, I want to ask you, how do you push past those fears and insecurities and like comparisons to be able to really share your true self? Because I know that that's scary a lot of times. And especially with music is so vulnerable. So do you have any tips for people who might be in that weird place where they think they have something they want to share, but it seems like it's not enough, like they can't do it?
Yeah, and I think, I would love to share something that I've kind of tried to do when it comes to that kind of stance. I lean into it a little bit. You know, I let that kind of become my art. So if I'm feeling insecure about the people that are around me that are better or well further along, like, I love writing and saying those things. So my natural reaction would to be to write a song about it or to be vulnerable. It's almost like you kind of like leaning into that emotion and turning it on its head and creating something unique. Because then not only are you doing something for yourself that's going to be helpful for you, but then the hundreds of other people that are probably in your same shoes can have that and be like, you know what, he's right. I can totally. And in any art, you know, if you're blogging, if you're vlogging, if you're an artist, like my wife is a phenomenal like painter, and so like she's always kind of like chasing after that muse too, and like sometimes you just kind of have to lean into that insecurity and make it work for you, you know. And that's kind of the advice I would give somebody if they're kind of struggling with where to start, or if they've already started and they see people further along. You know, turn it into a muse. It's a lot easier said than done, I know. But that's probably the best advice that I've learned, and I've tried to practice.
You've talked a lot about creating a muse and inspiration. What happens when you don't have that? Do you just not play, or do you push through it, or how do you kind of push past that writer's block?
That's another great question, because that's something that has been very true to me the past couple of years. And when I moved to Nashville, I definitely had a big stunt in my growth as far as writing. And I think the important thing is to not focus on it. I think it's like a muscle, you know, like you have to exercise it and at least try every day. I have a lot of friends that hit writer's block and they just say, well, you know what, I'm just going to try to write a song every day for 10 minutes. And if it just sucks, it sucks, but at least I'm exercising. And for me, I didn't take that approach. For me, I kind of didn't do much. And I tried to focus on other things, you know, that I was good at or that I was passionate about, to sort of maybe to further myself as a musician for when that time kind of came back around again, you know, because I feel like in life, sometimes we can't control when that happens. It just kind of happens, and we hit a wall, something happens in our life. You know, if you write from a sense of depression, if life's going good, it's kind of hard to write about the sad times, or vice versa. And so I think that maybe it's okay to not beat yourself up that you can't, but instead focus on what you can do. For me specifically, you know, I was a guitar player, I played bass, I was a musician also. And so it was kind of easy for me to say, okay, well, I'm not writing any music. I'm not writing any new songs. I'm not singing anything new. And I'm just stuck. And I was stuck for almost 2 years. And so in those 2 years, I was like, well, I'm going to just become a guitar player for somebody else, you know? And I was able to travel and work really hard. And then when I came back to writing songs again, I was almost a better songwriter because I had 2 years of experience playing other people's music. But I think it's important to know where you're at and not beat yourself up about it, because that's only going to cause you to kind of fall further into that writer's block. Yeah, so I think my advice would be just to know where you're at and find ways to exercise other things that could empower you more when that kind of comes full circle around again.
I love how you kind of hit on that feeling of compassion, because you're right, it is hard, like when you can't get something right, to beat yourself up about it and just feel like that should make you stop completely. But that really is what stops a lot of people from doing bigger and better things. So I love that.
Absolutely, dude.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about the new album. What inspired you to create it? What's different about it from your old music? And when is it coming out?
This is a great segue, because this is the whole theme of the record is actually about writer's block in a way. The record will be called Red Mountain. And the reason why it's called Red Mountain is I toyed a lot with themes, and as far as what I kind of wanted it to look like, and what I had just talked about with the whole season of being in this writer's block for 2 years. I moved to Nashville. I had written all these like kind of old like singer-songwriter Americana like songs back when I was in Phoenix, and it was great. And I moved to Nashville, and I'm surrounded by, like I said, tons of great people, tons of great players, tons of great artists. And that clock kind of turned off in my head, and I wasn't able to write for a while. And I kind of fell into this state of like dormancy a little bit. And so when I was kind of getting my groove back a little bit towards the end of last year and writing these songs that are on the record, I kind of, in a weird way, wanted to think of something as an analogy to compare myself to. And I love the idea of a volcano. And I love the idea of like, because volcanoes can be dormant, right? But like, and they're not dangerous, but then like at any given moment, like they can become like active and erupt and like just destroy lots of stuff. And it's kind of scary, because it's just this mountain, and all of a sudden one day it's a mountain, the next day it's spewing lava. And so I didn't want to call my record Volcano. You know what I mean? That was a little corny. Yeah. And I wanted to correlate the idea of something dangerous, but I wanted to give it a new meaning, like dangerous in the sense that I'm dangerous now because I'm able to write. And I'm dangerous now because I've kind of died to that writer's block phase that I've been in, and I'm able to kind of change the environment. So a lot of the theme of the record is called Red Mountain for that reason alone. And I think in that I've matured, and I've listened to a lot of different types of music now. I'm not the solemn, acoustic, depressed, I hate my life kind of guy. Like I got married, like I have a beautiful, wonderful wife, and I wanted to lean into those happy moments. And I love pop music. And so I think a lot of that was, I had those 2 years to sort of reinvent myself and rebrand myself. And so I think in every sense of the way, I'm kind of waking up from being dormant, and I'm not a mountain anymore. I'm a volcano, as corny as that sounds. That's what I want to kind of correlate to the record. So right now, I don't have a specific date, but it's going to be before the end of the year. It'll probably be late November, early December when Red Mountain will come out, available everywhere.
Awesome.
So that's kind of
that's perfect. And then as of today, though, when everybody's seeing this, Stranger Things, which is the first song from the new album, is out. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that fits into the overall album?
Absolutely. So Stranger Things is really cool because it's one of the first ones that I kind of started writing for this record. I know a lot of people, like, when they hear that title, they're like, oh my gosh, is it about the TV show? And it's not. It's kind of, it's ironic. It's not really any sort of way tied to the TV show. But I was, it was this new song, and my producer and I were talking about recording, and I kind of shared this vision with him as far as like wanting to really reinvent my sound and wanting to kind of pursue a more like indie alternative pop sound as opposed to an Americana sound. And this song was very different, and he kind of turned it on his head for me, and we programmed some really cool stuff in a demo, and it just made it come alive. So this song's about my wife. It's about kind of like the reaction of like me meeting her for the first time, and how it's a strange feeling because I was not looking for that. I wasn't like really actively pursuing any sort of relationship. I was just some single kid in Nashville who was just down to party and learn things, and here comes this beautiful blonde girl. So to me, it was like this stranger thing that happened, and that's kind of where the title came from. And it just so happened there's also a TV show called Stranger Things. I'm very excited to get it out because I think it's going to give listeners a very good window into what to expect for the rest of the record.
Awesome.
So
Well, I love the song, and if it's any indication of the record, I can't wait to hear it.
awesome.
And thank you for allowing me to play a little bit of it in my vlog today. So if you wouldn't mind, will you intro it for us?
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Ryne Norman, and you're about to hear my first single, Strangest Things, available everywhere today on Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you.